và ra rất là nhiều luôn. Chỉ cần làm theo đúng hướng dẫn, ủ một lớp serum hoặc nước, sau đó để trong vòng 1 phút nó trồi cái mụn lên, bắt đầu mình bôi một lớp gel nha, xong rồi nhổ lông, nhổ cỏ như thế này.
Large pores. How to quote unquote shrink your pores.
So pores seem to be like public enemy number one. People are very frustrated with these. I actually think the mirrors are to blame. They zoom in further than they should, but it doesn't matter. Today, with this video, we're going to talk about what are pores, can you shrink them, how to shrink them, and we'll walk you through a step and create a routine for you to do so.
This is not our first video on pores. We've done one before, and still to this day is one of my favorite videos that we've ever created because we went into heavy detail on what causes pores, and I actually drew them out in like MS Paint, probably the worst graphic that's ever seen. Hopefully in this video, we can give you some updated graphics on what you can do to minimize the appearance of your pores. Now in that video, you probably noticed that as they extracted those sebaceous filaments from the skin, that the pores looked very large underneath. And this is something I want you to think about as we talk about the different treatments. So all things related to minimizing the appearance of your pores, here we go.
Here we go.
So let's get a little bit back into that video. So what you saw there was some type of peel off mask. Similar to what you see with a pore strip, you see all this gunk being lifted out of the pores. And that gunk is sebaceous filaments. That's oil and dead skin cells that fill up your pores. Now this happens to all of us, but in some people, it's much more extreme than other people. Now this is a normal thing, but as that sebaceous filament, as that oil, as those dead skin cells continue to fill up your pores start to look larger and larger. And then when you extract them, you can actually see open holes inside of your skin. So let's talk about what causes your pores to look large, because if we understand what causes your pores to look large, we can know what ingredients to look for and what procedures to do in order to minimize their appearance.
So what is a pore? A pore is built out of 3 units. This is just my way of simplifying this for you. So in the center is the opening to the skin. That is a circle that you see, that is the orifice. Now inside of this, towards the base, you see all of these oil glands. This is part of the pilosebaceous unit. It is a structural and functional system, but surrounding all of this is the third part, and that is the stroma, or the collagen and the structure that creates this whole thing we know as a pore.
Now let's talk about what actually makes your pores look larger. Now I always think about things of like what's happening on that molecular level. So if you look at that pilosebaceous unit, that pore, it's surrounded by dense collagen, right? The collagen is hugging, or it's holding onto it, right? So when you're younger and you have more collagen and your collagen is much denser, it's actually squeezing your pore to make it look smaller. But as we get older, sun damage damages that collagen and elastic support structures. Your collagen becomes looser, it becomes less dense, and your pores actually start to dilate and open up. So as you lose that hug, as the hug gets looser on your pore starts to open up. So if you think about it, and we talk about treatment, we're going to want to build up that collagen in order to minimize the appearance of pores. The second thing that happens is that you have these sebaceous glands that Dr. Maxfield described, and they're dumping oil into that pore. They're just dumping oil in there. And then you have that epidermal layer, which is turning over new skin cells and sloughing dead skin cells into your pore. So from the top, you have epidermal skin cells sloughing into your pore, and from the bottom, you have oil just dumping into the pore. And that's creating debris inside of your pore that as it fills up can make your pores look larger.
And another thing that's nuanced is that with rosacea in particular, the oil glands actually take over. Like you get more and more and more of these oil glands, which leads to more and more and more oil production. Like the oil glands actually outnumber like the skin cells microscopically. It's crazy how many oil glands you get. So that's something we'll have to address too.
Right, and I can even show you a video, we'll pop it up here, of how if someone pushes on their nose, they can actually push out all that oil that even if it's not visible to you, it has built up in your pores. So now again, kind of foreshadowing to treatment, we're going to want to control oil production, remove oil once it's deposited, and remove dead skin cells that have now deposited in your pore. So just thinking ahead here. And then the last thing is, if that epidermal layer gets thicker, it starts to make your pore look larger, which means that if your skin is more dull, it's more flaky, that stratum corneum is getting thicker, it will make your pores look larger. And so exfoliating and removing that top layer of skin, or thinning out that very, very top layer of skin called the stratum corneum, can also make your pores look smaller.
So you have noticed you have pores and you've decided you want to address this. That's fine. Like again, set your goals. Your skincare is your own. Now I always approach this with like the cleaning first. So first we're going to remove the oil from the skin to give us a clean slate.
Right. You need almost like a factory reset, right? You've had all this stuff build up over time, right? And so doing the things that are more maintenance aren't going to put a dent in what's already built up there. So how do we start over? One of the first things that you can do is actually get a facial. This is where facials become very helpful. It's you get a facial and then you maintain it with skincare. And so some of these water-based suction facials, they really suck out all the gunk that's built up in your pores. Now, I don't recommend that you do this at home. I've said this a million times because I do think pore vacuums cause a lot of bruising when you do it by yourself, but an esthetician who's skilled can definitely do this and it will factory reset your pores. You can also use a pore strip as a sort of one-time, once a month, once every 2 months to really sort of factory reset the pores. Now, you don't want to do this all the time because it's really quite irritating, especially if you're using a retinol, you could pull off your skin with it. So this is really to be used sparingly. And then the last thing that you could do is use a cleanser that can help to remove some of the gunk that's built up in your pores. That's a salicylic acid-based cleanser because salicylic acid is the only exfoliant that's actually oil soluble that can get into those sebaceous filaments and remove them out. And something that's become popular on social media, which is an oil-based cleanser, like dissolves like. So an oil-based cleanser is able to get into your pores and help to push this out if you massage it onto the nose.
So again, you have your deep clean and then your regular maintenance cleansing to keep those oil glands empty. Now the functional part is once they're empty, they're going to refill, and that's where a lot of the daily work comes in. We need to decrease oil production.
So how do you actually control oil production? Now, this is actually something that's really challenging. So in our old video, we said that there wasn't evidence that retinoids could actually control oil production. Now there's good evidence that there is. So we always say we're willing to go back and debunk ourselves. There is evidence that retinoids can help control oil. So the ingredients to look for would be retinol, niacinamide. There's a study that showed that niacinamide can help control oil production. Green tea and L-carnitine can all help control oil production.
Yeah, and I throw azelaic acid as a third tier. So stratifying this, I have it like in tiers, like so retinoids and then green tea, niacinamide. Both of those, especially niacinamide, actually has a good amount of data. And then we have third tier, I'd say azelaic acid has a study I know of, and then I guess L-carnitine too. I didn't know about that one, so that's news to me. But we have these ingredients that can be foundational for your skin.
So we talked about how to remove oil, then we talked about how to control oil, and then the last category of ingredients to look for would be oil absorbing ingredients. So that's something like perlite or silica, and you find these ingredients a lot in oily skin moisturizers, and they actually have ingredients that absorb oil as it's produced by the skin. Now this can help as any oil is building up, especially for people with oily skin.
This makes a big difference. I'll tell you anecdotally. It sounds very counterintuitive that you would want to moisturize your face with oily skin, but a lot of people, and we see this from the comments, have oily, sensitive skin. And it's an extremely difficult combination to work with. So these moisturizing ingredients, these moisturizers for oily skin can be awesome because they can actually help provide your skin with the nourishment and protection a moisturizer does. And at the same time, make your skin feel and be less oily than it was to start with. It's a weird dynamic, but these are great functional ingredients, probably underrated.
Now let's talk about turning over some of those dead skin cells that have built up in your pores. And the best ingredients to do that is going to be retinoids in general. So we've already mentioned it as controlling oil. Now we're mentioning it as kind of helping to turn over those new skin cells, thin out that epidermal layer of the skin to make your pores look less obvious. And then salicylic acid, which we mentioned earlier as removing oil, is also able to remove some of the dead skin cells that build up in your pores. And then the last category is that hug. How do we strengthen the hug on your pore to make your pores look smaller by squeezing them from the outside in? And that's going to be things that can build up your collagen structures.
Right. So addressing the structural component of a pore, this is the most misunderstood part of a pore. And I think a large part of it is because some of the most effective things are in-office procedures, and so people just aren't familiar with it. But this is like where I think everyone falls short. They've used the topical ingredients. They've cleaned out their pores. They're getting the facials probably on a regular basis, and they're like, nothing has changed. My pores are still large. But that's because all of what we've talked about so far addresses the oil production or the oil gland and not the structure, which actually is the ring creating the pore that you see. So here we can have ingredients. The retinoids, once again, doing lifting, creating collagen, increasing the hug, tightening it up, nice and tight, as they say. And then additionally, you can use your exfoliants that also thin the stratum corneum, like glycolic acid, that increase collagen production, once again, increasing that supporting structure to make it tight. And then at this point, I would say probably moving into procedures is where you're going to see a multifaceted benefit for the structural part.
If you notice when we talked about skincare, retinoids hit all three categories that contribute to the appearance of pores. So, and it's not going to just do that. It's going to do anti-aging, wrinkles, fine lines, acne. So you always hear it, we say retinol, we say it all the time, it's our favorite ingredient. It's because it does so much for so many different skin conditions that even if you had pores and texture, retinoid could take care of that. If you had acne and pores, you could take care of that. If you had dark spots and pores, retinoids are going to do that. And it has so many functions, and that's why it's really going to be a hallmark of a lot of people's different skincare routines. Now, jumping onto procedures, if you think about it, anything that causes trauma to the skin is going to activate those wound healing mechanisms, and wound healing triggers fibroblasts to produce more collagen. And so that's why a lot of our in-office procedures that do minimize the appearance of pores are things that cause micro trauma to the skin or trauma to the skin. So microneedling in general is going to boost that collagen. It's going to tighten and minimize the appearance of pores. Laser, resurfacing lasers, whether it's erbium or CO2 or Fraxel, anything like this is going to actually boost that collagen and minimize the appearance of your pores.
These procedures do like double duty. Not only do they increase the collagen, but they very directly restructure the structure of your skin, especially like fractional CO2 or even microneedling, where it directly creates thousands of little holes in the skin. In my opinion, very anecdotally, like just I think about it and I'm just like, this just breaks up that stroma under the skin, that like network of collagen that's creating this pore, and it's kind of resetting it. It like breaks it up, starts new collagen growth. And I think this is the most impactful way for pores to be minimized. Like if you're looking for a result that is noticeable, dramatic, to where you look in the mirror and you're feeling like you got your money's worth, even though it can be a big investment, I do think these procedures, the more aggressive ones in particular, are really where you're going to get the most benefit. There is an in-office prescription or oral treatment that has been shown to be effective. It's like very specific. So isotretinoin, or Accutane as it's known, is one of the extremely few ingredients that's been shown to slow the progression of this oil gland growth, which leads to these larger pores in the nose. So rhinophyma, which is enlargement of oil glands, especially on the nose, one of the first signs of this is enlarged pores. That's the earliest detectable sign of rhinophymatous change. And again, there are studies showing that isotretinoin can be helpful for this. Like, is this the appropriate and a correct treatment for you? It may or may not be. That's a discussion between you and your dermatologist. That's a discussion between their comfort level and your comfort level, and all of the nuance with this. But that oral in-office treatment is one of the few things that can be effective at slowing the progression of this too.
So when we talk about isotretinoin, also known as Accutane, it was created for acne. It's incredibly effective acne treatment, but a lot of people will notice minimizing of their pores while they're on this. And even a lot of videos going viral on TikTok saying that it actually shrunk the volume of their nose because they were on it. And it's actually probably true, whether it's temporary or not. It does shrink your oil glands. It does minimize the appearance of your pores. Like Dr. Maxfield said, it does come with a slew of potential side effects. And so you have to weigh the risk-benefit ratio when you take any medication. So that's something you definitely want to discuss with your dermatologist. Now, of course, if we're talking about collagen and procedures that build up your collagen, we want to make sure that we're protecting your collagen as well. So wearing sunscreen is critical to any of these routines, because if you're getting damaging UV rays that are just destroying your collagen, it's not going to help any of these pore treatments. Now let's jump into a super simple routine to minimize the appearance of your pores. Now, like we said, getting these in-office treatments is a place where you're going to see a lot of big results, but let's talk about an over-the-counter option that you can go with.
So again, it starts with the cleanse, clean out your pores. I think a super simple thing is your salicylic acid cleansers. It doesn't have to be fancy. You have your large volume medicated cleanser from La Roche-Posay with salicylic acid. You have your CeraVe SA cleanser. Both are fine options once or twice daily as your skin tolerates.
So that's your cleanser. You're going to go with the salicylic acid cleanser, even twice a day if your skin can tolerate it. And then treatment, morning and night. I think you can start off with a green tea toner in this space. We've talked about toners before. We won't go into too many details right now, but toners with actives in them can be very effective. So you have Isntree and you have Innisfree,
The two
not
most
the same brand.
confusing things. Yeah, I love these green tea toners. I really do recommend these in the office to patients too. Love the green tea toner to start off your routine. If you have oily skin, which you very well likely do because you're looking at a pore video, these feel good, they're functional, they're great.
Perfect. Now you can actually incorporate niacinamide into your routine. Now you can either choose to use this morning and night, or you could just use it one time a day. There's a slew of niacinamide products that are out there, a lot of them at higher concentrations than you need. We've said this in the past, niacinamide has been shown to be effective at concentrations 5% and less, and there haven't been any studies on concentrations higher than 5%, even though you'll see 20, 30, 40% niacinamide products out there. There's no need for a concentration that high in your skincare routine.
Like, I do like some of the other ones like the L'Oreal Bright and Reveal, but functionally I like the ordinary niacinamide 10 with zinc, or you mentioned another video, I think the Paula's Choice had a niacinamide at 5%, perfectly functional for your skin.
Now you can use that morning and night again, but then at night only, you would want to incorporate a retinol into your skincare routine. Now this can be prescription tretinoin that you get from your dermatologist, or this could be a simple over-the-counter retinol, something like the CeraVe resurfacing retinol, something like the Rock retinol. They pioneered retinol, so they are the OGs in that category. But using a retinol is going to do a lot of the work that we described. And so I do think it's foundational to your nighttime skincare routine if you're trying to minimize the appearance of the pores. Now, I don't know when this video is going to air, but of course, I'm super proud of the brand that I've been working on for the past, and you guys may have seen the announcement of the brand coming out, but one of our products is Remedy for Pore Size, which is something to minimize the appearance of your pores. And this product has retinol, it has salicylic acid, it has niacinamide, it has green tea, it has perlite, it has kinetin, which has actually been shown with niacinamide to minimize the appearance of your pores. So it has all of these ingredients in one overnight formula that you can use once a day at night to minimize the appearance of your pores. Now, I will say, of all the testers that we had in our study, which was a bunch of people that tried it and saw amazing results, you do have to ease into this if you've never used a retinol before, because it is a higher strength retinol. So this is something you're going to use every other night or every third night until your skin gets used to it, because it is that powerful, but that's how you're going to see the results. So I don't know if it's going to be available by the time this airs. If it isn't, we'll put a wait list link below. If it is available, then you'll be able to shop it at that time, or you could do what we said earlier and look at the products and mix and match to build your routine.
Right, and if you haven't caught this theme with Dr. Shah's skincare, it's like he's like pushing the boundary of like what's the best result you can get. So like it may not be starter friendly, it may not be the thing for the beginner, but like this is probably going to be like the best result you can get. So that's totally fair.
They're all-in-one treatments to simplify people's routines. I think most people just want simple routines and results, and they don't want to have to layer 4 different. Maybe there are people who want to layer multiple things and kind of mix and match and kind of build your own salad type of situation. But a lot of people just want all the products in one, and so that's our challenge. We had stabilized all of these in one formula to make them super effective. So super proud of that, obviously. Hopefully you all love it and find it to be as effective as the people did in our studies. So last, I would say at night, you want to use a moisturizer, something that's going to be a little bit more gel-like, something a little bit more absorbing. La Roche-Posay Toleriane Double Repair Ultra Matte Moisturizer. I had a patient tell me that this was like pilling on their skin, so this is something maybe we need to like revisit as a sort of top recommendation, but something that's a little bit more targeted, a little bit more niacinamide-based moisturizer is going to be helpful for you at night. And then in the morning, using a sunscreen with, again, niacinamide to help support the collagen so your pores don't actually get larger with time from that collagen damage.
And it sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Everything can be twice a day depending on your skin sensitivity, except for the retinoid, which is at night, and the sunscreen, which of course is in the morning. And that's it. That is a complete routine for what you can use over the counter to help minimize your pores.
We always put the routine for download below. So if you want to look at the routine that we built and everything that you can use to minimize at home, and then go look for office procedures after that, after you see results, Dr. Maxfield has a really good diagram that he's put out where essentially when you start doing skincare, you'll actually see a lot of results with skincare. You can't start with procedures first. You really should start with skincare first. Get to that plateau where you're not seeing any breakthrough with your skincare anymore, and your pores are the best that they can be on skincare alone. And that's when you kind of ramp up into either prescription skincare or into procedures inside your dermatology office. And that will help you break through to that next plateau. And that's where procedures are going to get you. So get to the plateau with skincare and then go to the next level with in-office procedures.
So that is it. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here with us.
Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.